We welcome you back to Clan Comprehensive Tutorial, a forum where you gain excellence with utmost simplicity, simplifying complex facts into simple and basic forms for you to understand. So today we'll be talking about dimensional analysis. Before going to dimensional analysis, let's talk about what dimension is, and then we move forward from there. The dimension of a physical quantity simply represents the nature of that quantity in terms of the basic physical quantity, like mass, length, and time. Now in physics, we have fundamental quantities and we also have derived quantities, which we'll be going into basically just subsequently immediately after this. But you have to take note that in mechanics, and when we talk about dimension, there are three basic physical quantity we pay respect to. One, which is mass, length, and time. When we get to things like electricity and magnetism, we begin to involve current, and optics will begin to involve other fundamental quantities. But in the case of dimension, as it has to do with mechanics, we are sticking to the three major fundamental quantities: mass, length, and time. Right, now let's talk about fundamental quantities. There are several major fundamental quantities: mass, length, time, electric current, temperature, luminous intensity, and amount of substance. So you can see them with their respective formula and dimensions. Now I'm going to be showing you how to derive some of their dimensions, and you also see how to do it yourself. So we have derived quantities and their dimension for velocity, dimension for area, dimension for acceleration, dimension for force, and so many others. Now let's move into the main deal. What is dimensional analysis? Dimensional analysis is simply the process of checking, deriving, or comparing physical quantities using their dimension. Right? And when we talk about physical quantities, we're talking about derived and fundamental quantities. So when we compare these quantities and we check them, do they align? Are they paying respect to each other? If they do so, we term them they are consistent dimensionally, and if they don't, we say they are dimensionally inconsistent. I want to look at some major terminologies or some major uses of dimensional analysis. Number one is it helps to check the correctness of a formula. That is one primary use of dimensional analysis. It checks the correctness of a formula. We know a formula is correct when the dimensions all through are consistent. The next one is used to derive relationships physical quantities. It is used to derive relationship between physical quantities, and it also helps to convert units from one system to another. So we are going to be focusing on the aspect of checking the correctness of formula, because you're going to be seeing more of that in your exams and so on. Alright, let's move to the rules of dimensional analysis. There are basic rules in solving dimensional analysis or in working through dimensional analysis question. The first one you want to know is that you can only add quantities or subtract quantities with the same dimension. Right? Only quantities of the same dimension can be added and subtracted. Number two is the dimension of both sides of an equation must be the same. They must be the same for we to term them correct or dimensionally consistent. So a dimensionless quantity or dimensionless quantity with no dimension is referred to as pure numbers. Please take note of that. A dimensionless quantities, that's quantities that are dimensionless, something like pi, radians, coefficient of frictions, numbers, they are referred to as dimensionless quantities, and they have no dimension. So just like I said, applications of dimensional analysis has to do with checking the correctness of formula, deriving formula for physical quantities, and also for unit conversions. So I'm going to be showing you how to analyze an equation, whether it is dimensionally consistent or not. Now let's look at some critical practical examples on dimensional analysis. So this is dimension. Now one primary function or one primary use of dimensional analysis is that it tells the correctness of an equation, right? It tells whether an equation is truly correct or it's what we refer to in physics as nonsense, right? So if an equation is not dimensionally consistent, we refer to that equation as a wrong equation or an incorrect equation, or it is what we refer to as, we can simply say the equation is dimensionally inconsistent, which means the equation is not true. Now, before we move to checking if an equation is dimensionally consistent or not, we want to study or quickly run through how to get dimensions for individual quantities. As a whole, we have 7 fundamental quantities, but inside of these 7 fundamental quantities, there are 3 quantities we pay respect to when we talk about dimension. Number 1 is mass. Number 2 is length. And the third one is time. Summarily, we say MLT. So this is what we use to represent or replicate quantities. Now let's take, for instance, the very first example I want to talk about is, let's say, velocity. We define velocity as distance moved in a specified direction or in a specific direction, right? So velocity is simply, let's start this way, distance or rather displacement over time, which is meter per second. This is still the same thing as saying ms minus 1. Now, the most easiest way to represent dimensional quantities or to get the dimension of a quantity is to check or get it from the unit, right? Now, let's take, for instance, this is meter and this is per second. Meters from our 3 major quantities we are paying respect to. Here, m is mass, representing kilogram. All right, let me use my red pen to indicate that. Let's say mass here is representing kilogram, while length here is representing meter, while t here is representing seconds. So this is the basics you need to know. Now, if m here is mass, if m here is meter, sorry, it indicates that that's length. You put your L. Now, seconds here is indicating time, so t minus 1. So we can simply say the dimension for velocity is t minus 1. Now let's check for other quantities. Let's say force, for instance. Force is mass times acceleration, right? And if you look at this carefully, you will discover that the mass is in kilogram, while acceleration is in meter per second square, right? So now let's represent this. Let me use my red pen to get that done. We can easily see kilogram is mass from our fundamental quantity we talked about here. Now, meter is length, and t here, seconds, is time. So this is the dimension for force, while this is the dimension for velocity. The dimension for acceleration will simply be what? From this alone, you can easily tell that the dimension for acceleration, let me write down here, for acceleration is equal to LT negative 2. Now, so this is the primary way you solve or find dimensions for a particular quantity. Now let's move a little bit wider. Let's talk about dimension for pressure. For pressure, let's talk about number 4, dimension for pressure. For pressure. Now, first thing you want to know is either you know the unit and then you get your dimension from there, or use your formula to get the unit, then from the unit you get your dimension. Now, pressure is force per unit area, right? And force already, remember, is mass times acceleration over area. Area is L square or m square. So I'm going to be using m square here first, right? Already we know acceleration to be kilogram meter per second square. Why this is m square. Now, if we are to change this to the dimensional form or to get the dimension for pressure here, we can simply see that m here, kilogram here is mass, meter here is length, second square here is time, over, you can clearly see that this is meter square. Take note, you don't mistake mass for meter, right? So this is meter square indicating length from our primary quantity in which we wrote, meter square here indicating length. So if we are to get that done, over L squared. Now, from our law of indices already, this is raised to the power of 1. Now you have 1 minus 2, right? So you're having final dimension to be m. L, 1 minus 2 is minus 1. c minus 2. So this becomes the dimension for pressure. This becomes the dimension for pressure. Now let's talk about one more, which is volume. Just picking some common ones, but this is the primary way to get dimension for all quantities. Now if you talk about volume is simply either length times base times height, in which they are all in meters, or length times length times length. In any case, volume is simply regarding to meter cube. Volume is in meter cube. So let's use length times base, length times breadth times height. Obviously these are all in meters, so the unit is in meter cubes, right? And if this is in meter cubes, indicating that the unit becomes, remember, meter cube length, right? So if that is being said, our dimension here becomes L to the power 3. So this becomes the dimension for volume. Now we can now use this to get or confirm if equations in physics we have is dimensionally consistent or not. You get to see this in so many exams. Determine whether the equation is dimensionally consistent or not. So let's get right into that. Now, the first example we want to look at is, let's assume we have an equation of such, and we are told to determine if the dimension is consistent, if it is dimensionally consistent or not. We have, let's take the equation of motion, v squared equals u squared plus 2es. Now, this is an equation of motion, one of the three equations of motion. So let's look at this carefully. This is representing velocity here, right? So the dimension for velocity from our previous example we saw is what? LC minus 2. Remember, we say it is dimensionally consistent when all the dimensions all through are the same. If one alternates it, or if one goes out of line, it is dimensionally inconsistent. Please take note of that. And quantities which have no dimension are referred to as pure numbers. Let me write that here. Pure numbers. These are simply quantity, or let me put that to be dimensionless quantity. With that dimensionless quantity to be pure numbers. Now take note that u squared is also velocity. So we have this, let me correct this. This is LT minus 1 because we're talking about velocity here. So it is LT minus 1. Then we have LT minus 1 also for initial velocity. So if you have to proceed with that, remember that here 2 is a pure number, so it has no dimension. This is acceleration here, it becomes LT minus 1. This is distance, which is speed, right? And distance, which is in meters, and meters from our dimension is length. So let's put this down properly now. We can now have this is squared here, so this should be squared. This is squared here, this should also be squared, right? So we can have our equation now becomes LT minus 2 equals LT minus 2. Remember that the square here is affecting this and also this, so everything here becomes L squared T squared, right? So we have positive. Now observe this carefully. Acceleration here is not LT minus 1, it's supposed to be LT minus 2 also, right? Because acceleration is in meter per second squared, indicating that this is LT minus 2. So if we are to observe this carefully, L times L gives us L squared, and we can easily say L squared T minus 2. Now what do you observe from this equation? The first one, L squared T minus squared. The second equation, L squared T minus squared. The third equation, L squared T minus squared. So we say this equation is dimensionally consistent. And this is what we refer to be a correct equation, or a feasible equation, or a reasonable equation. Now let's say, for instance, we have another equation. We're asked to check if this equation is dimensionally consistent. We have something as S equals VT plus 0.5 AT squared. Remember, your S here is in meters, so let's write the individual dimension first. This is in meter, that's L. This is velocity times time, LT minus 1 times time. Time is also in seconds, And from our MLT, let me write that down here so you can easily pay respect to that. MLT, whenever you see this time here is seconds, meter, length, then mass, kilogram, right? Now we can easily say plus. Remember, 0.5 is a number and it's a pure quantity, so it has no dimension. Now let's talk about t squared here. Before we talk about t squared, this is a, that's acceleration. So we have LT minus 2 dot c squared here, right? So let's check if it works to be dimensionally consistent. The first one here is L. The second one here, if we resolve this, L multiplied by t minus 1 multiplied by t. You should take note of this carefully. So t minus 1, this is still the same thing as let me just do that this way, times t minus 1. Remember, this is times t raised to 1, right? So in indices, let me also add that this is L t, same base, minus 1 plus 1, right? L equals L times t naught, right? So we also have here, let's finish our equation here, plus this is the same thing here, L t minus 2 times t squared plus L t minus 2 plus 2, giving us L t minus 2 plus 2 is L t naught, right? So this becomes L equals L times 1 plus L, because anything raised to 0, let me write that, anything raised to 0 and or any number raised to 0 is regarded as 1, right? So if we get that done, this is also 1. So we have L equals L plus L. You can easily see that this is also dimensionally consistent. Dimensionally consistent. Alright, so the final example I want to look at now is this. Now let's say for instance, we're given an equation of such to determine if it is dimensionally consistent. Here we have S equals VT squared plus 0.5 AT. Right, so let's check if this is dimensionally consistent. Now, if you've been following carefully, you will discover that our S here is indicating length, while our V, let's say, let me use V here, is indicating LT minus 1. And then, where we have acceleration, is indicating LT minus 2. That's the dimension. We spoke about how to get the individual dimension earlier on, right? So now let's get back to this. S here is L, V here is velocity, LT negative 1 dot t squared, right? Positive 0.5 is a dimensionless quantity, so we keep that aside. This is also LT minus 2 acceleration. Then we have time here, which is just dot t. So let's check this out if it works. We have L here. Let me use my blue pen now. We have L here equals L t minus 1. This is negative, and negative, this is multiplication rather. And multiplication in this is positive. It means you're adding the powers since the bases are the same. Positive L t minus 2, same here, times we add here, the power here is also 1. We get that done, we have L equals, this becomes minus 1 plus 2, that's 2 minus 1 becomes 1, positive L t minus 2 plus 1 becomes minus 1. So we have the final dimension now to be L equals, let's say, LT to power 1 plus LT to negative 1. Obviously, clearly seeing this, we regard this as dimensionally inconsistent. So we say it is dimensionally inconsistent. And when an equation is dimensionally inconsistent, it is regarded as a false equation, or equation like this in physics are regarded as nonsense, right? The word nonsense, it means not useful. You can obviously see that this derails from the normal 3 equation of motion in which we have. So this is simply how to determine if an equation is dimensionally consistent or not, and how to gain or determine the dimension of individual quantity, whatsoever quantities that you indicate with your mass, length, and time. I'm sure you learned something. Do well to click the like button, press subscribe, and also do well to share this video so others get to learn from this. And as usual, you have questions, please drop them in the comment section, or you have topics you want us to work on, kindly drop that topic in the comment section. I will do justice to that. Thank you for watching. See you next time.